Red flag alert, red flag alert. These are 3 red flags that are clearly going to tell me that a beauty business is not going to be successful. This is Jake Randolph and Tony Cruz with Beauty Biz Pro podcast. So if you're listening in, thanks for joining us. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Anyways, Tony, what is the number one, these are not ranked in any specific order, but what is the first thing we're going to talk about? What's the first red flag you see in beauty businesses?
Yeah, so whenever I talk to thousands of beauty professionals every single year, and the first thing I ask them is, who's your ideal client? And 90% of people I talk to, they don't know who their ideal client is. It's quite odd to me, because as a business owner, you want to know who you're going to sell to. And whenever I hear that, like, who's your ideal client, people most of the time just tell me anybody with money or females or anything like that. Jake, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I get it, guys. If you're not booked up, then you just want bookings. You just want income. And I understand that part. But at the same time, the reason we want to know what your ideal client is because whether it's your content, your advertising, or, just the way you appear publicly online, your online presence, we want to know who we're speaking to. And yes, we understand that there might be multiple types of people you're going after, maybe not just one type. But here's the thing. Remember this. If you're just, trying to reach everyone, if you're just trying to shout out to everyone, it's not really going to resonate with anyone. And, I actually call this the spray and pray, or like in the military, I was in the Air Force for 10 years. We call it the spray and pray method, where, it talks about like in battle, if you're just like spraying bullets and hoping something hits. Well, a lot of you are doing, the post and pray method, where you're posting something and, or you're posting a bunch of random stuff and you're hoping that maybe it'll resonate with somebody. Maybe somebody will notice you, maybe somebody will decide to book, but there's no real clear, strategy to who you're really targeting, who you're really talking to. And Tony, how do they find their ideal audience?
They find their ideal audience by really thinking about who needs my service. Who is somebody that is in need? Okay, doesn't want it, who needs it? And whenever I go through this exercise with business owners, I always ask them, what is your demographic like in your town or area? Are you, 50 to 60 year olds, 30 to 40 year olds? Are you in one of those affluent, trendy areas where it's a younger demographic? Each one of those demographics has a specific need. But it's up to you to identify that need and utilize that need to then deploy your marketing strategies to. Because guess what? The quickest way to get over the how much is it question, or that's too expensive, is to find and help them with their need. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you're talking to an individual, and that individual's like, yes, I have thinning eyebrows. When you start talking about how your service can help them with thinning eyebrows, the price really becomes irrelevant, okay? So really speaking to a client's need and finding that target audience is the number one thing you can do when you first set out on your social media journey.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tony. And I have the golden rule for marketing. We've all heard of the golden rule in normal life, but the golden rule for marketing is market unto others as you would have marketing done to yourself. And so what do I mean by that? Well, think about your ideal clients or people that resonate with you. A lot of them are probably either like you, or maybe they were like you used to be, because a lot of times, like even for beauty businesses, a lot of times the business we start is to help the person we used to be. And so if you're someone who struggled with your confidence and you found that the beauty services really helped you with that and really made your life better, you're going to want to do that for other people. And so I've heard a lot of beauty business owners say that's why they started, because they enjoyed having it for themselves, and they wanted to provide that service and experience to others. And so with that being said, what stands out to you? What resonates with you? Is it someone who's just like, oh, look at me, I have the best service and I have the lowest price? Or is it someone that's like, imagine waking up every morning and, you have kids, so it's hard to get ready in the morning. You don't have time for yourself. Your kid's screaming, he's hanging on your leg. But imagine if you always had beautiful brows. Something like that, with its, different pieces of content are going to resonate with people like that. For that example, it was, mothers. And so, Tony, anything to add on that?
No, really. I mean, you really hit it right on the head. You have to resonate with people. That's the number one thing, is just resonating speaking to others as you want spoken to you. And I love your golden rule, Jake. That's an amazing, epic golden rule. So,
yeah. So just,
awesome.
I've got a couple things written down that I want to go over. So you may have heard some of these before, but this might be a good reminder, because I know sometimes, like in business and especially marketing, sometimes you got to go back to basics because it's easy to get caught up in all the different tactics and techniques and just running your business. And so I wrote down a few reminders for you guys. So when it comes to, finding your target audience, think about, like, in a good exercise is to write these things down that I'm about to say and write it out on paper. Like when you write it down, it'll really help you brainstorm and really think about this, so that when you're writing content, when you're writing ads, when you're, talking on videos, you can remember, who am I really talking to? Who's the person on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the phone? And so here are some things to write down. What is, your ideal client, or your typical client, I should say? What is their style? What are they interested in? What are their hobbies? Like, what type of stuff do they like to do? What do you think they're scrolling through on TikTok watching? Like, what are their interests? Would it be cooking? Would it be snowboarding? Would it, think about their potential interest? And I know it's not the exact same for every person, but you can when you start to write down these things, you can start to create kind of an avatar in your mind. What are their desires? Like, are they, someone who's, just ready to graduate college? Are they someone who's thinking about retirement? Like, what are their desires and what are they thinking about? And what are their pain points? Tony, why are pain points so important?
Because when you can speak to somebody's pain point, the price goes away. People love their problems solved, and they're willing to pay to have their problems solved.
I love that.
So, a great example of myself is, I would gladly pay somebody to wash my car than me washing myself, because my problem is I don't like being in sun for extended periods of time, just doing that work. I just don't like to do it. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Solved. Hiring somebody to detail my car.
And the reason most business owners struggle with this is because you got to get past the surface level. Like Tony said, he did a certain thing to meet a certain need. We all have human core needs. And so instead of just thinking about, like, oh, I'm giving my client lashes or I'm giving them brows, you have to think about it on a deeper level. What core needs could you be meeting? And Tony, what are some needs people have?
Great example, a great need that I see very little artists targeting is individuals with trickle tail anemia. That's a hair pulling disorder. And for somebody who has a hair pulling disorder, they really focus on their brows. And to be honest with you, those individuals are your ideal client. That is your ideal client. That's somebody that needs your service. Or somebody with thinning brows, somebody who's in their 50s and 60s. That is your ideal client right there.
But to go back to core needs, a core need would be something like love and connection. And so a lot of times, let's say you have thinning brows, or let's say you have some kind of skin disorder. You might feel like you're being judged. You might feel like people are not going to show you love, and therefore you don't feel connected. And so by you as the beauty business owner being able to fix those different problems or improve their appearance or whatever they need done, you're allowing them to get that connection, that love. And there's other types of human needs. I'm just going over one. And so, by the way, if you do want to get more into depth on like stuff like this and human needs and marketing psychology and all that stuff, we do have a coaching program. We'll include a link below if you want more info, but we do have stuff where you can take it to a deeper level and learn. Because if you're still watching this video or listening to this podcast, you're like me and you love to learn it. You can see all the books behind me. I love to learn. So we do have coaching programs for that. So that's, I think we covered some great points on there. That's, red flag number one, not knowing your target audience, not knowing your ideal audience. Tony, what's red flag number two?
This is a big one. So neglecting your online presence, not having an online presence, not having updated content, and not necessarily, I'm not talking about posting 20 before and after photos. That's actually what you should not be doing, in my opinion. What you should be doing is updating your content. Being that industry leader, being that industry educator is super key when you're looking at, when a consumer is looking at particularly picking a potential artist or med spa or a jewelry artist. Because let's face it, someone does not need to see 50 before and afters to know whether or not they're going to want you as their individual. And guess what? The more options you give them, it's analysis paralysis. They're going to sit there and look at every image to find that one brow they don't like and then pass on you. So, to me, it's neglecting that online presence, Jake.
Yep. And now that you mentioned it, I actually wasn't planning on doing this, but when you said 50 before and afters, I thought about so many of my beauty clients, my permanent makeup clients. That's all you guys are posting. And I understand sometimes it's hard to know what to post. And by the way, we do have 100 content ideas on the No Fluff Guide to Growing Your Beauty Business. So if you want a free copy of this book, we'll include the link below. Or if you're listening to the podcast, I'll try to put the link in that description as well. But yeah, we have lots of content ideas on that in that book, and we'll send it to you for free. You just pay shipping. But yeah, going back to the 50 before and afters, if you're that person who struggles with social media, you're not really sure if you're, or maybe you think you're okay with social media, but you want to have an expert actually look at it. What I'm going to do, because I'm trying to grow our YouTube and our podcast, I'm going to pick a winner from the YouTube comments and or someone, if you're listening to the podcast, leave a review for this podcast on whatever platform you are. And once you leave, let's say you're on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review there, screenshot that review and send it to me on Instagram at PMU Marketer. And I'm going to pick a winner to do a free social media audit. This is normally something we would charge hundreds of dollars for, but we will take a look at your Facebook, your Instagram, and we'll give you, feedback on how you can improve it and give you some really good ideas. And so, Tony, have we ever had anyone who was like, oh, I wish you didn't give me a social media audit? Or is it normally like, oh my gosh, this was life-changing?
Yeah, especially, the individual who's giving you the audit, she's a fashion expert. She's a social media expert. And I mean, she's, our right-hand person on our team, and she is amazing at what she does. And to be honest with you, we charge $499 for our social media audits. They are in-depth. They're very intuitive to, just the little things that you would never think of. So definitely a great value. So, leave us a review, comment below, and we would love to have you enter that giveaway.
And so the third red flag that I see, well, actually, before we go to the third red flag, I'm going to say one more thing about online presence. The biggest thing with that is, when people are searching for you or they're trying to find something, if you don't have your information everywhere, like Google, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, have your information as many places as possible. Make it easy for people to find you. If it's hard to find you, you're just shooting your business in the foot. You're crippling your own success. And so make sure, do an audit on yourself. Be like, okay, if I were to search my business name and search my service in my local area, where can I find my info? Is my, for example, is my Google Business phone number, is my phone number on my Google Business the same as it is on Facebook? Because that's actually, and is the same as it's on your website. If you have a website, that's actually something that we teach in SEO class, like search engine optimization. Is your phone number and your business information, like your address, is it thorough? Is it the same throughout? Because if it's not, Google knows and they'll rank you less high because it looks inconsistent. So make sure your information is consistent across all platforms. Sweet. So red flag, and I feel like that was a really good tip. So if you enjoyed that tip, leave a comment below. Red flag number 3, and this is, to me, this is the biggest one, is, a lot of people, they're like, okay, I'll post here and, maybe I'll do this tactic that I heard, or maybe I'll do something I heard on a podcast, but they don't have any real defined marketing strategy. So absence of a marketing strategy. Tony, what is a marketing strategy and why should they care?
A marketing strategy is a roadmap to success when it comes to your marketing on Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever platform you're doing. It's actually your guidebook on what you should be doing on a daily basis. The strategy behind how to post, what to say, when to say it, that who, what, when, where, why factor that 90% of you struggle with is your marketing strategy. And quite honestly, they're super easy to put together. But for a lot of you, you struggle with it. So having a clear path to success, think about this. If you had a clear path to this is what you should do, when you should do it, and how you should do it, would you do it? And for 99% of you, you're saying yes right now. You're shaking your head yes. And the issue with that is you don't have that clear strategy. So what I actually want to do is offer 5 individuals a free marketing strategy call with me to kind of develop and grow over your marketing strategy. So shoot me an email, tony@pmumarketer.com, and I'll be more than happy to put together a marketing strategy with you and kind of outline what you're doing and how you're doing it and give you those best practices. And again, it's only open to 5 individuals. So definitely DM me. And if you do email me and it's not available, I will definitely have another special offer for you.
Yeah, that's huge because and here's the thing I want to tell you guys is the number. I know we're throwing out all these red flags of like, you know, what we see and stuff. Honestly, to me, and this wasn't even on my list, it just kind of came to my mind when you offered that, is the number one red flag to me is arrogance. Because when I say arrogant, I'm saying like you're the type of person who maybe listen to something like, well, I already knew that, or, you know, I already know everything, or I'm not going to, like, I already know what to do. I can do this myself. Like that kind of arrogance is what leads people to go out of business. Because, you know, even me, like I've grown multiple 7-figure businesses. I'm constantly learning from new people. I'm constantly buying new courses and going through and educating myself. And no joke, like literally, Tony, I showed you a course that I bought this morning. It was a $3,000 course. I was like, hey man, I'm going to, you know, show you some of this stuff because I think it's awesome. Like I'm constantly learning because I'm not arrogant. I'm not like, oh, I know everything. Like I want to be hungry for knowledge. And so if you catch yourself being like, well, I already knew this and blah, blah, like don't be arrogant because like, for example, when Tony offers his time to, which I'm paying good money for, by the way, he's on my team. When he offers his time, take him up on those type of, like, have him look at your stuff, have him go over the strategy. Don't be so arrogant to think that you can just do everything yourself. You know everything, because nobody's like that. Even the top people in the world, even LeBron James, one of the best basketball players in the world, he has a coach. He has mentors. He has people that help critique and analyze everything he does because it's about maximum performance. And we're all human beings and we're not superheroes. We have to, you know, we have to have some help. So that's honestly my number one red flag where like when I hear somebody being arrogant or like they know-it-all, I'm like, yeah, you're not going to be successful. I don't even want to deal with it.
Yeah. And, you know, to be honest with you, Jake, our success rate in our company with working with our clients, we work with thousands of clients, thousands of beauty professionals all around the globe. Whether it's Australia, Europe, London, Germany, all around the globe, right? And our success rate is 90%. And you know the commonality between the 10% that don't succeed? Arrogance.
Yeah.
That is the number one. I already know how to do it. I don't need to do this. I don't need to take that training. I don't need to do this. And you know what? For those of you who are watching that, you know, may have been a past client or one of those things, I hope this is a wake-up call because it's that kind of mentality is what got you to where you're at right now. It blows my mind when somebody says, my business is slow, yet I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I always love when someone's like, yeah, I'm broke or my business is, I have 0 clients. And then I try to help them. Oh no, that's not going to work. I know everything. But like, really, if you know everything, then why are you broke? Why are you not successful? So yes, do not be one of those arrogant people. If you're watching this, obviously you love to learn. So we appreciate having you here. Like we said, we did some like little giveaways and promos. And the funny thing is we didn't plan any of that. We're just, you know, we had a list of some, you know, strategies we want to give you guys, but you know, we threw in some giveaways. We threw in some fun stuff. Go back, re-listen to this podcast, rewatch the YouTube video. And then we appreciate if you hit that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you next time.